She's scary. She's got a mask on. So, this is 27. We
27.
think it's 27. And I don't know. We haven't really introduced ourselves. I mean, really. I mean,
You're
like
right.
27 times. So, hi. I'm.
The second mic that I was testing, I'm still having problems with that, so we're back to just his mic, and I'll play with it during the week.
So lean over.
I'll lean over and
Okay.
talk here.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, hi. I'm
I did my
Pooch.
hair again.
She did. She did. So, this is my lovely wife, Samantha Star Pacucci,
Yeah.
and I'm affectionately known as Pooch Pacucci to all of my friends, and
Or PM
or
Pacucci.
PM Pacucci, and most of my friends, some of my enemies, whoever. And this is our weekly broadcast about all things tiki and cocktails
And rum.
and rum and Lovecraftian things because, well, you probably tuned in here through the Facebook account of Lovecraft Cocktails. And
Oh,
yeah,
we have the cat
oh,
cup
the cat from last week. Yep. And
playing his ukulele.
we've been spending the last few weeks trying to figure out what we are going to do as far as drinks for our upcoming haunted tiki party.
Yeah.
We throw a haunted tiki party every year. Like I say that as if it's been a grand tradition. We've done it twice. We're now going to do it 3 times.
That's a tradition.
That's a tradition. It's a custom. It's a norm. Okay. Um, and we think we've settled down the menu.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 rum cocktails and 3 non-rum cocktails on that, and I'll be serving a punch as well. For all of you that are freaking out, going, "Wait, you're throwing a party? Don't you know that's like COVID, dying, etc." It's a virtual party. Locals have the opportunity to pick up beverages from here that I'll pre-mix, but folks that aren't local can join in as well. And so I'm not going to go a year without doing this party, so we can do that.
Yeah.
But we've got the menu finalized, so
Ah.
I don't actually have to test cocktails for the menu. So I'm like, well, what do I do now? Because I was figuring I'd need all of this time to practice. Oh, by the way, do you like the new lighting? So I got this little green light here that's glowing the tentacles. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty cool. So yeah, there's that,
Okay.
which is kind of nifty, kind of cool. So what are we going to do tonight? What we are going to do tonight is, since it is Halloween-ish time, we're going to do cocktails that roughly have a death theme to them. That sounds like fun, right?
Okay.
Death. Death. Or something. Death or cake? Cake or death?
Cake or death.
Cake or death.
Cake.
We're fresh out of cake, so we're going to do death
Oh, okay.
tonight. So in the spirit of that, here's a cocktail for you. We're going to toast to not dying.
Not dying.
Not dying. Yeah. So what is this that we are drinking? I don't really know. How you doing? She's not dead. Okay, I can take a drink. So this is I just threw a bunch of stuff together based on the standard tiki punch recipe. So that's 1 sour, 2 sweet, 3 strong, and 4 weak. And then let's get a nice greenish color to it. I didn't use any of my darker colored rums. I wanted a clean color here. And for the sweet, I used Midori to get that kind of greenish, yellow, icky looking thing that you kind of sniff and go, do I really want to be drinking this? And down in the bottom of that, there's this chunk of, what the heck is that? Turns out it's a dried pineapple, which is going to be great because the dried pineapple will suck in the moisture from the drink, and by the time we get down to the bottom of this, hopefully that pineapple will be pretty saucy and tasty. This is also made with overproof rums, so this isn't a small, weak little shot either. But we do a toast every week, and that's our toast. So, if anybody is tuning in for the first time, you got Pooch Pacucci, you got Star Pacucci, you got Lovecraft Cocktails. We do a toast every week. At some point, I try and talk about something that is new to me or something that I've learned this week with regards to tiki, rum, Lovecraft, etc. Lovecraftian thing that I learned today. Apparently, there is a video game called The Call of Karen. Yeah, The Call of Karen. which is a Lovecraftian sort of themed game, which is about a 1950s housewife and all the crud that a 1950s housewife has to go through. Not seen the game yet, just read a write-up on it, and it looked kind of vaguely hilarious. It has nothing to do with Karens per se, so the current meme going around of Karens. So yeah, so check that out. I guess that's kind of cool. Somewhere around here, and I don't know where they are. So I have two brand new Tiki books that are probably underneath that instruction sheet way over there, hon. Ta-da! So normally I get new stuff. I like to showcase new stuff, and this would be a great case for, hey, I don't know what I want to do this evening, so let me look in my new books and see what I can do. So I've got Punch put out this book by Chloe Frechette, a modern revival with 60 recipes, easy tiki. There's a whole bunch of recipes in here that only have like 4 ingredients in them, which if you know tiki, that's bizarre, only 4 ingredients. So that seems cool. There's a write-up on the back by Beach Bum Berry. I've seen a number of drinks from this book showing up in various places, so I really wanted to get a handle on this and take a look at it. But there's nothing really death-related in this that I can tell, and I just did a quick scan because we just got it, and so no, we're not going to do that. So later, I'll give you an update on Easy Tiki and what I think of it and how cool it is. It's kind of a nifty book. I mean, it's basically a cocktail book, right? So you're going to have cocktails, recipe, and a picture of a cocktail on it. But there's a whole bunch of classic cocktails, and then it goes into sort of modern cocktails, which would be very kind of cool. And they're light on the ingredients, which is actually kind of nice. And a whole back section on how to make home syrups and that sort of thing. So looking forward to digging into this little guy right here. The second book, which I literally have not looked at all, but I love America's Test Kitchen. And they do really good work, and they like to play around with all sorts of different techniques and figure out what works and doesn't work and why. And they make a whole bunch of things, and they throw out a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't work, and they come down and say, this is the way to do that. So they put out a cocktail book, How to Cocktail. So, you know, nothing could be bad about that, right? So recipes and techniques for building the best drinks. Now, we'll put this up against Liquid Intelligence. No, that's totally not fair, because America's Test Kitchen aren't cocktail wonks, per se. But, I mean, I have not cracked this book open yet. Just haven't had the time. So this will be, on the reading stand for soon, to after Halloween, probably. You may recall a number of weeks back, probably a couple months back at this point, I received a book about how to make homemade bitters, and finally got through that one. So that one's done. Finished the How to Make Bitters book. I still have not delved into making anything else other than the blackberry spiced bitters that I made. And those I'm using in various cocktails and stuff, and they seem to be working just fine. So first foray into making bitters, great. And now that I finished up the book, I'm going to have to investigate some others. Now, there have been suggestions that maybe Pooch hits the time of the year that you want to do like some pumpkin spice bitters. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the whole pumpkin spice thing, but we'll see. Maybe. I mean, there's definitely enough pumpkin lying around. I could certainly do that. So we'll see. It won't be ready in time for Halloween because, well, it needs multiple weeks to cure. But still, might be interesting. I know a bunch of friends that are into pumpkin spice things, and so maybe I can entice them over for a cocktail by making up some pumpkin spice bitters. So that's kind of on the agenda. But for tonight it's doom and gloom. Tonight it's death. Death, death, and more death. So he died, she died, everybody died. Quick, what's that a reference to? Name the movie, anybody. I'll give you a shout out if you get it right. That's about basically all I can do for you. Sorry. Anyway, first drink up is The Last Rites. So The Last Rites is kind of a riff on a classic puka punch, puka puka, and we've done one of those before, I believe. But this drink is crafted by Mariano Licinde. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Licudine. Now, it's hard to overestimate how influential this guy was. So Mariano is basically responsible for the cocktail program that originated the Mai Tai in Fort Lauderdale. And this is one of his cocktails from the mid 1950s. This guy was a master. Beach Bum Berry devotes like almost an entire chapter. Actually, I think it's the last chapter of Sippin' Safari. Yeah, Sippin' Safari, to the life and times of Mariano and the Mai Tai. So the guy's influential. So we're going to try this drink, the Last Rites. So you're going to die. Here's the Last Rites for you. So this is a drink that gets blended. So we're going to go with a blender tin to mix this drink in. And we need, so we're going to go with the sweet portions of this first. As you know, I kind of like to do the sweet portions first because sweet always sort of sticks in your jigger and it's hard to get the rest out. So I'm going to pour the rest of my ingredients in that same jigger and kind of clear that out. So we're going to try that. So one jigger here. We need a ½ ounce of a passion fruit syrup. And I happen to have some passion fruit syrup right here. Now this is a combination of a cheap passion fruit syrup, that's Torani syrup, and fresh passion fruit concentrate that you can get from any of your international markets. And so that's how I make my passion fruit syrup. And it's darn tasty and tart, just like passion fruit should be. So we're going to go ½ ounce. Yep, ½ ounce. ½ ounce right there. All right, that goes in our shaker tin, blender tin, right. Next up, also on the sweet sort of end of things is some Fallernum, right? So Fallernum, this is John D. Taylor's Fallernum. I have a couple of others, but we're going to go with this one. This is actually produced at Foursquare Distillery in Barbados. And yeah, it is mildly alcoholic, right? It's 11%. Almondy, citrusy, Jamaican flavors, Caribbean spices in here in the syrup. It's kind of like orgeat in that there's that almond syrup element to it, but orgeat is very much about the almond, right? It's about the mouthfeel, the consistency, the thickness, and that almond flavor maybe perked up a little bit with some other ingredients like some rose water or something along those lines. The Fallernum is much more about the spicing that goes in here. The almond syrup is lighter and serves as a backbone for the citrus and the spices. At least that is how I characterize the Fallernum. We need a ½ ounce of this stuff because it can be a little potent. So we're just a little bit here, ½ ounce. Soup, in that goes.
Colleen, Christine, David, Dana.
We need ¾ ounce of lime juice, which, you know, if it's a tiki bar, they better have lime juice on hand. That's all I can say. Gotta have fresh lime juice. ¾ ounce. Star was reading me a list of people, which could be either everybody that is currently watching live, or equally likely could be everybody that got the reference right to he died, she died, everybody died, because I kind of...
Dana got that one.
Dana got that one. Of course, Dana got that one. Yep. For those of you not in the know, it's a reference to the movie Heavy Metal, which in itself is a reference to the magazine Heavy Metal, and formed a portion of many of our childhoods for those folks that are vaguely of a similar age to me. All right, lime juice, passion fruit syrup, Fallernum, and then there's going to be some rum in here. So we're going to go with a rum, but this is a rum agricole. So, and it is an unaged rum agricole, which is going to be a little bitey, which, you know, that works for the Last Rites, I think. We're going to go with Clement because I really like Clement rum agricoles in general. So here's our Clement rum agricole. This is a young one, pure cane. So the difference between rum agricole and almost all of the other forms of rum, every other form of rum on the planet, 95% of the rum produced is produced from molasses, or a portion of it, at least a significant portion of it is molasses based. Your rums from Martinique, the French territories, all the rum agricoles are produced straight from sugarcane juice. Occasionally sugarcane syrup, but mostly sugarcane juice. And in order to have the Martinique rum agricole appellation, they actually have to be produced from sugarcane juice. So we're going to go with this Blanc Clement, which, like I said, is going to be a little bit on the bitey side, which I think it will be. I think it'll be good for this. It'll help counteract some of the sweetness from the Fallernum. We want 3 ounces of this, so there's going to be a significant amount there. So there's one. Flip that over.
David likes it.
And so I originally picked up the Clement Blanc because I was doing a introduction to rum for a group of people, and I really wanted to be able to show that coloration of rum really doesn't tell you a whole lot about the rum. And we put that rum up against was it Plantation 3-Star? No, I think it was just a simple Bacardi Superior. And the two couldn't have been further apart, night and day. And it was very polarizing. Some people liked the really clean flavor of the Bacardi. Other people were like, what? This is fascinating. This rum agricole stuff, what is that? That is neat. And I look forward to the day to introduce them to an aged rum agricole, which is even more complex and grassy and just amazing. So rum drinkers know about rum agricoles, and rum agricoles are have a special place in our hearts. So there you go. That's it. That's all that goes in there aside from some crushed ice. And then we are going to blend this. So Star's doing this to me, which I believe probably means that there's something else that's new, which would be my glasses. My glasses. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Is like, did we do my glasses last time? No. So these, I got new glasses. Yep. So I can't tell because now I can't see, right? So these guys are tortoise shells, and they're almost round lenses, which is really unusual for me. I almost never do round lenses.
I got new ones too.
She tells me that it gives me a very professorial look, like, oh, what a nice drink you have there. Oh, too bad you're not drinking what I'm drinking. You know, that sort of thing.
My arms are much shorter than yours.
Okay, so hers are almost tortoise shell, except that they're purple. Yeah, purple tortoise shell. Yep. Oh, and if I like put them in front of Star, you can actually see how much correction she's got. No, that's mean. I shouldn't do that. I love my wife. Don't I? All right.
Mwah.
Okay, so we're going to get on with this. We're going to put some ice in here, woo-woo, and blend this thing up. This is just a flash blend, so we're only going to do like 5 seconds blending this guy. Get some nice crushed ice in here. I'm going to do a full scoop. Because, wow, there's 3 ounces of that rum agricole in here. Now, the rum agricole is, I think, 40%, 80 proof. Double check that. Yep, 80 proof.
David said you'd probably look good in tweed as well.
Yeah, but not while making tiki drinks. I wouldn't look good in tweed. No, that'd be bad. All right, here we go. High speed, 5 seconds. Ready with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. That's all. Our drink is done. I'm going to grab a towel here to wipe down the spindle. And of course, you can do this in a regular blender. There's no reason why you couldn't. I just really love the aeration that the spindle blender gets me. And now we need to put this into a glass. So last rites, I got this tiki dude right here. We're just going to go ahead and put him in there. Unless Star, do you want a different mug for last rites? Apparently she does. She's reaching for a mug.
No.
Oh, she's found a mug. Gone to the mug cabinet. Oh, okay. So this is, cannot read that.
Tiki Farm, isn't it?
Tiki Farm, yeah, this is Tiki Farm. We saw this mug, which, I mean, it's Tiki Farm. You can buy this mug. We saw this mug on sale at...
we first saw it on the collection at Hulu's.
At Hulu's in Monterey.
Right.
And
it wasn't for sale.
And right. their collection had one of these. We said, wow, that's cool. Where can we get one? And they said, not here. And we went, well, bummer. And eventually we found it on Tiki Farm and
I found it on eBay. But...
went ahead and purchased it. So at the risk of a little over dilution, this is a very deep mug. So we're going to add a little more crushed ice here. I assume this is going to be drunk by my wife primarily. So we're going to go and jam a straw in there. I want to add just a little bit more oomph to this guy. So what we're going to do is grab a cinnamon stick like this. We're just going to toast up the end of the cinnamon stick. Get that all fiery and red. Right there. And then I'm just going to dunk that into the cocktail. And that should add a little smoky cinnamon flavor to that.
Straw Sulu.
We have a tentacle straw. You see, you can see how it's kind of wavy and it's got little tentacle bits on it. And where is this from, Star?
Surfside Sips.
Surfside Sips.
And what can you do to get a 20% discount?
You can go to Surfside Sips, surfsidesips.com, right? And they have a promo code area. And in that promo code, you can type in Lovecraft. And if you type in Lovecraft, you get a 20% discount on your straws, which is pretty freaking cool and amazing. And we love them and the stuff that they do. So here, would you like to try the Last Rites? Apparently that's a hit. So I'm gonna have to stick a straw in here and see.
You can use my straw.
I could, yeah. We'll just stick a metal straw. Yep. We're trying to be good. Not use plastic disposable straws. Oh, that is good. That I think there's a little too much dilution, but those flavors blend well together. And that's a little surprising because again, that even at only 40%, that Blanc Agricole can be a little bitey, a little rough. It has, I know this is not going to sound appetizing, but that rum agricole in particular is very definitely a like fresh mown grass kind of flavor to it. And there's a hint of that, but in a good way. And I don't know how to describe it other than that, but in a good way. And some drinks, particularly tiki drinks with multiple different types of rum or all sorts of different ingredients, some drinks, when you taste them, you taste just these different pieces and different components. And the flavor changes over time as you drink that. Per sip, it changes. This, it takes the other route. All of those flavors blended together actually do blend together into a single flavor profile that really works. So I'm pretty darn pleased with our Last Rites. So we may be doing that again next time I need to give, well, the Last Rites to someone. So yeah, that's tasty and clean. So there you go. Last Rites. What are we going to do next? All right. We're going to mix mythos here. So Last Rites, Christian tradition, for the most part. Last final blessing to send you off to the afterworld. So we're going to hop over tangentially in the mythos. And as you probably know, voodoo has connections to Catholicism and Christianity in the sort of, I forget what the term is. It's not populist. Totally gone. But it incorporates elements of Christianity and makes them its own and blends them with indigenous religion and forms something unique and new. And so we're going to honor that by doing another death drink. And this one is called the Baron Samedi. And Baron Samedi is the Loa sort of the spirit, not really God, but the incarnated spirit of death in voodoo culture in the Caribbean. So yeah, we're going to do a Baron Samedi for you. And this cocktail is completely on the other end of the extreme from the Last Rites in terms of its age. So the Last Rites was created in the mid-1950s off of drinks that were created in the early 1950s. This drink is a 2008 creation, and this is a Beach Bum Berry personal creation. Apparently in 2008, a bunch of them were sitting around and they were doing a tiki happy hour in New Orleans, like you do, because why not? And Barry came up with this cocktail, which is essentially a riff on a daiquiri, but darn it, daiquiris are damn good and they're really easy to riff off of, but they're hard to get just right. So this is the Baron Samedi by Jeff Beachbum Berry, and we're going to go mix up this daiquiri. I'm going to need, at some point before I pour this, I'm going to need a coupe glass from the freezer because you want to serve this cold. And so this should serve as a hint to my wife that at some point I'm going to need her to go to the back room and get me a coupe glass. Unfortunately, I don't have a freezer here in my bar where I can just pull these glasses out. That would be, well, overkill, and I'd have to redesign the bar. And you can tell I kind of like my bar at the moment. So we're not going to do that. So coupe glass is coming. So we're going to start with a shaker tin over here. And we're going to build the drink in here. So you might know your daiquiri is... okay, there's all sorts of different types of daiquiri. And if you are only familiar with the frozen slushy version of the daiquiri, that's perfectly fine. But there's a world of other daiquiris out there, and the classic daiquiri is a very simple drink, but hard to get right. And that simple drink is composed of only 3 ingredients, and those 3 ingredients would be lime juice, they would be simple syrup or sugar, and they would be rum. Those 3. Usually a clean white rum, young, usually not unaged, but something that's got some youth on it. You're not going to be generally making your daiquiris with a heavy oaked or aged rum, although I've made some darn good daiquiris with some really darn good rum. That's got some serious age on it as well. The world is your oyster. Whatever rum you want to use in a daiquiri, feel free. That really makes the rum the star of the drink. And getting the daiquiri right is a sign to me that the bartender is paying attention to what they're doing and loves their craft. So that is my go-to drink when I am visiting a bar. That is a sign of a master craftsman that can do a good daiquiri. So there you go.
You have a Kristen and a Juliana.
Juliana, excellent. Hi, Kristen. Hi, everybody else that's there. Dave, Chris, Colleen, I think, Dana, and others. Yes. Hi. And others. How's that? And anybody that's going to be tuning into this after the live broadcast. Hello. Glad to see you. All right. So the Baron Samedi. We're going to go, so usual proportions on a daiquiri, at least here at Casa de Pacucci, Lovecraft Cocktails Bar. We usually do 2 ounces of rum, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, and 3/4 an ounce of the sweetener. And the proportions here are a little different. So we're going to go with 1 3/4 ounce of rum. And in this case, it's going to be an aged agricole rum. So we are going to go with, still sticking with Clement, we're going to go with the Clement VSOP. I really like this as an aged agricole rum. And apparently nobody has commented yet. You know, there's smoke here, waiting for the comment. It's a tradition. Somebody's got to do it. Okay, all right. Okay, what else goes in here? Obviously some lime juice. So the lime juice is here. And that's going to be in the proportion that we usually do, which is 3/4 of an ounce. But the sweetener is only going to be 1/2 ounce, and it's split. In the classic Baron Samedi, it's a 1/4 ounce of cinnamon-infused syrup and a 1/4 ounce of Fallernum. We're not going to use cinnamon-infused syrup because the only cinnamon-infused syrup that I have is actually my extra special Caribbean spiced syrup And we're going to use that instead because, well, it has cinnamon in it. It has a whole bunch of other things like allspice and cardamom and all sorts of other great stuff, and really makes it just kicks up the cinnamon syrup just a little bit more. And so whenever drinks call for cinnamon syrup, I use my special homemade spice syrup. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to start with the spiced syrup. Give this guy a little jig. And this is a 2-to-1 syrup. So we've got a ton of sugar in here to the water, twice as much by volume. By weight. And so we're going to go ahead and do that at 1/4 ounce. And this has a 1/4 ounce mark in it, so I'm going to go fill it up to there. And then there's going to be a 1/4 ounce of the Fallernum, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in the jigger as well, and just fill that up to the 1/2 ounce mark. And the nice thing about this is it will loosen up the syrup, which is plenty thick, and make this a little easier to pour out of the jigger. All right, so we've got a 1/2 ounce there. Fallernum and spiced syrup. So that goes in here. You can still, let's see, it's still dripping some. We need 3/4 ounce of lime juice.
What kind of incense tonight?
I don't know what kind of incense tonight. I just reached into the bag and grabbed one.
It's probably the one on top.
It probably, yeah, Star says it's probably the one on top. I know it was a big fat one that had a whole bunch of sticks in it. Earth Mother. Well, that seems
Flint Candle Company.
Flint Candle Company makes pretty good incense. We've been using it for 15 or so, 10, 15 of these episodes.
Yeah.
And we really like it. It just adds a nice little fragrance to the ambiance.
And their incenses aren't sickeningly sweet.
Right, which can sometimes be the case. All right, so we need 1 ounce and 3/4 of the rum agricole here. And so there's 3/4. And now, so this is going to be a little light. Well, I mean, it's not really all that light because even though you're backing off a 1/4 ounce on the rum, the Fallernum does have some alcohol in it. I think I said it's 11%. So you're in the same vicinity in terms of the alcohol content for a standard daiquiri. We're going to lid this up with some ice and we're going to shake it. And here I'm going to use cubed ice for this. So here's some cubes. Here's some more cubes. No reason to get real, so might as well do this. So no reason to get real fancy on ice things around your bar. So ice storage units. So you can buy, expensive ice cabinets and that sort of thing. Or, occasionally I get shipped things that need to be frozen or need to be kept cold. I'm going to shove a dry ice pack in this, seal it up, and send it off. Well, it's also heavily insulated foam, which really means it does a very, very good job for me of keeping my ice cold, especially for like an hour-long broadcast like this. Not a problem. Keeps the ice nice and cold the way I want it. All right, we are going to lid this up, and then we're going to shake. And I'm going to drink. There we go. Now, there's a couple of different thoughts on straining daiquiris. And it depends on how much ice and ice chunks you want. You do want to strain it, otherwise you're going to get crystalline ice chunks in this. But you can either single strain it, or I like to double strain mine. So the Hawthorne strainer is actually going to catch a bunch of the ice chunks, but then your tea strainer is going to catch all the little bits and make this a much cleaner cocktail. Now we're going to split this into two different classes. Just we're talking about the incense and how nice an incense is, and then I got a big deep breath of it, which usually shouldn't bother me. Like I said, I grew up Catholic, so I'm used to large quantities of incense in my system. All right, there we go. So this is the Baron Samedi. Do this. Put these guys in the sink. And then we need to garnish this. Oh, right. I need another one of those.
Okay.
If you would. So we don't want to mess with the Baron. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this drink as pretty as possible. And I have these gorgeous blue orchids, dyed blue orchids. So we're going to stick one of those in each one of these. And the second one is on its way. So how are you guys doing? You doing all right? You good? Life okay? We're almost through 2020. I mean, I don't have any anticipation that magically 2021 is going to suddenly get better just because the date changed, but man, just perceptually, I really want 2020 to be over. So your choice, hon. Which one would you like? You're going to take the one on the right? Wahahaha. While she was in there, no, I didn't do anything to it. You can go back. You can check the tape. I didn't do anything. So the Baron Samedi, daiquiri variation.
Ooh.
Easy peasy. So
You have some of this.
Because you want more of this. Oh, that is quite nice.
See if they can see the flower in here.
The harsher bits of that you can sometimes get from a rum agricole are really toned down because of the aging on the Clement. This is just incredibly well balanced. This is quite a yummy drink. I'm quite liking this. Sometimes my syrup can get a little overpowering because of all the spice notes in it. It works really, really well with the Fallernum here. That is a tasty drink that adds some complexity to your average ordinary daiquiri. Mr. Barry, you've done it again. This is quite tasty. Liking this a whole lot. That is light. It's refreshing. There's a hint of something darker there with the Caribbean spices. It just works. You can't really tell the coloration on this because, well, I've got a green light here, which kind of changes the color on that. Well, it's a light brown. Almost a sandy color. Yeah, I think I'm going to just finish this off. Yep, this is quite yummy. So you'll notice I just made a single cocktail and split it between the two coupe glasses. Ordinarily, you'd want your coupe glass to be filled to the brim. Right, that wash line should be right across the top of the cocktail. But since I split it amongst the two, that's why it was a little bit below that. All right, so there we go. We've done the last rites, and we've done the Baron Samedi. So 2 drinks, both tangentially related to death. And so now we're going to move on to our third, although I'm going to have a quick taste here of the drink I made for my wife originally, the last rites. It is brighter. The last rites is a brighter, it pops a little more in your mouth. I think the last rites would actually be better like on a hot summer day than the Baron Samedi. The Baron Samedi seems to work with a fall day. And it's been a pretty nice fall day here, so here's to more of the Baron Samedi. The reason I mentioned the Pacific Northwest is because there's a bar in Tacoma, Washington that's called the Devil's Reef. Now, if you're an H.P. Lovecraft fan, you go, wait, isn't there a Devil's Reef off Innsmouth that he talks about? And sure enough, he does. So that bar is actually a tiki bar. And yes, indeed, it's kind of dark edge tiki with a nod to H.P. Lovecraft. So absolutely, we've got to go to the Devil's Reef. We've never been. We have to go to the Devil's Reef at some point. This last drink is named the Reanimator, one of the stories from H.P. Lovecraft, the Reanimator, right? And this is created by Jason Alexander, right? Better get this right. Double check. Jason Alexander, yep, of Devil's Reef. The cocktail was published in Minimalist Tiki by Matt Petrick, which, as you all know, we love Minimalist Tiki. It's a great book if you're, I mean, even if you're not just getting into Tiki, it's just a great introduction to Tiki and brings you back to the basics and takes you through it and says, look, if you want to create a Tiki bar or create the ability to do Tiki drinks, here's an easy way to get into it and do it, and here's what you need, and here's how to do it. So we really like Minimalist Tiki. 3rd edition now, they're doing great. So gotten by Matt Petrick's book. I don't get any funding for this.
Dave got it.
Dave got it.
Brooke got it.
Brooke got it. People that are usually signed up for this particular broadcast have picked it up, and apparently they like it. So there you go. Ta-da. New tip. All right. So the Reanimator. So comes to us from Devil's Reef, Jason Alexander. The whole bar has kind of an H.P. Lovecraft riff. There's a number of different drinks that are H.P. Lovecraft named and themed. And so we're going to do one because we've given the last rites to somebody, and then the Baron Samedi has come to take their soul, and we said, not so fast, bud. We're bringing that soul back, or we're just reanimating the body because the soul's already been gone. I don't know. But it seems like it flows, right? Last rites, Baron Samedi, Reanimator. All about death. There you go. All right, I'm going to have another drink. This drink does not use rum agricole. This goes in a completely different direction, and, well, you'll see. All right, this is a blended drink as well. So once again, blender tin. We have, let's see, right. Passion fruit syrup. Half an ounce of the passion fruit syrup. Boy, I'm glad I made up passion fruit syrup today. So we're going to go half ounce passion fruit syrup. Oop. There we go. Fortunately, the Torani syrup is very sweet and has all sorts of preservatives in it, which means this stuff lasts forever when I mix the concentrate with it. So that's good. Next up, we need a sour ingredient for this. While you've got the tartness from the passion fruit syrup is still pretty sweet. So we need a sour ingredient. We're going to go with lemon juice this time. So lemon as opposed to lime. I trust Mr. Alexander. I've made cocktails by him before, and they've been quite tasty. I will trust his judgment that we need the sharp, acrid, burst flavor of lemon as opposed to the sort of long-lasting sourness of lime. And there is 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice or lemon juice in this. We're keeping this pretty simple tonight. There's not a bazillion ingredients in these cocktails. We're not doing all sorts of really fancy, bizarro stuff with them. There are 2 rums in here, though, and they're pretty specific. Jason Alexander calls for OFTD, so the Plantation OFTD. So this is a 69% alcohol, old-fashioned traditional dark blend. Bunch of guys, so this is Jeff Berry, Martin Cate, Mr. McFadden, Mr. McGee, Mr. Shooter, Dave Wondrich, and Mr. Gabriel all got together to blend this particular rum. And these guys are some of the stars of the rum world. And so this is a really nice overproof rum. And what goes in here is what, half ounce? Half ounce, right. For those of you that are Mai Tai fans, this is one of the choices for making a Mai Tai. The Mai Tai originally used Ray and Nephew 17. That's not available anymore. There's been a whole bunch of different varieties of mixes to try and get the right flavor profile for that. The OFTD apparently does a really pretty good job just sticking that in there, not blending any other rums, that sort of thing. The rest of the rum that's going in here is also from Plantation, and it is a Plantation Jamaican rum. This is special dry. This is their Xaymaca, Xaymaca. I first had this at an event at the Smithsonian. Martin Kate came in. Martin and his wife, Rebecca Kate, came in and spoke to us about tiki, all things tiki, and they serve drinks at the Smithsonian. You gotta love that. And that was my first time having the Xaymaca in a sippy cup. Yes, because you needed to have a cover on it because it was at the Smithsonian. And I immediately started hunting down bottles of this stuff and have continued to keep this on the bar. So we did, what was that, half an ounce? So we need an ounce and a half of the Xaymaca. So there's an ounce. I'm going to double check. Ounce and a half. Yep. Ounce and a half. You're like, wait a second here, dude. That's 2 ounces of rum. That's 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. So 3/4 of an ounce of sour. And you did a ½ ounce of passion fruit syrup, which is your sweet ingredient, which is a little light. Dude, you're making a freaking daiquiri again. It's like, well, yeah, kind of. But that's not all that's in here. What the other ingredient goes down into tiki lore, because way back when tiki was just starting, so this is 1930s, and somewhat later than that, the bartenders did not want to give away their secrets. And so what they would do is they would prepare mixes, and they wouldn't tell anybody what's in those mixes. So even the bartenders, the owners knew, the bartenders didn't know. The bar managers knew, the bartenders didn't know. They would just have a drink card that said, this drink has 2 parts mix number 4. And so you just go over and you grab a bottle mix number 4 and you pour it in, because that's all you knew. You didn't know what was in there. So in that tradition, Devil's Reef has a mix that is their own that they refer to as zombie mix. Now, they're not nearly as secretive as they were in the olden days. And as a consequence, we know exactly what is in the zombie mix because, well, it was published in Minimalist Tiki. So this is equal parts of 4 different things. So let's see if I get this right. There is grenadine, and I'll use a house grenadine in this. There is dry curacao, and we use Pierre Ferrand dry curacao. Keep this on hand for all sorts of tiki orange goodness.
I had a curacao tasting.
Yeah, we did do a curacao tasting today. Fallernum. Yeah, so there's Fallernum in here as well. And we went again with the John Taylor's Velvet Fallernum. You could go with any Fallernum that you want. I do not know what they use at Devil's Reef. That will be one of the questions that I ask the bartenders when I go to Devil's Reef. And the last ingredient is absinthe. So equal portions, those 4 ingredients. Once again, don't know what absinthe they use. I'm pretty sure that they're going to use a local supplier of absinthe. And that's what I'm using as well. I'm using Mount Defiance absinthe because I just love their absinthe. Mount Defiance is local to us. They do a really good job. It's some really excellent.
Supposed to go to an absinthe event.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to an absinthe event, and yeah, that failed and didn't happen. Now, my proportions may be slightly off because while it calls for even proportions of everything, the Mount Defiance absinthe is a little higher proof than your standard absinthe and is a little aggressive in its flavor. So this may be a little more absinthe than what we get served at Devil's Reef. We'll see. It's only a 1/4 ounce of this, which is good because, wow, the absinthe could completely take over. So there you go. It's 1/4 ounce. It's this kind of reddish color, reddish brown color from the grenadine. And for those of you that have tuned in, or those of you that have tuned in probably know, those of you for whom this is the first time or have forgotten, the home grenadine for me is a combination of a commercial grenadine, which is Jack Rudy commercial grenadine, which is a small batch grenadine that I really like and can get locally. And then I have a 1/4 ounce of Fallernum, which is a 1/4 ounce of Fallernum, which is a small batch grenadine that I really like and can get locally. And then I have a 1/4 ounce of Fallernum, which is a small batch grenadine that I really like and can get locally. And then to that, I add some homemade hibiscus syrup, which adds a little, it's just a little brightness, a little tartness that isn't normally found in the grenadine that comes straight from just from pomegranate. And then the last thing I do is add a little, for preservative and for just kicking it up a notch, the pomegranate liqueur goes in there. And so that is all mixed up, and that's my home grenadine. And I really think that that makes for a very distinctive grenadine to this particular bar. So when you order a drink that has my grenadine in it, it won't taste like somebody else's grenadine, but it still hits those same flavor profiles. So, all well and good. There you go. Right there, that's the Reanimator. Stick a nose in that. I smell passion fruit. I smell a little bit of the absinthe, and I'm definitely getting significant amounts of that Jamaican funk. So let's put some ice in here and blend this up and see what we get. Now, Martin Kate is a huge advocate for adding not just crushed ice, but also just a few what he calls agitator cubes to the cup. And so we did that. I've got this partitioned off both cubed and crushed ice, and so I can just pull that out as needed. This gets a little longer blend, not just the flash 5 seconds. But not much more than that. We're going to go like 7-8 seconds. Again, high speed, spindle blender to aerate. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. High speed. When this first comes off the spindle blender, there's this amazing head on this, which is really nice, this foamy goodness. If you want that foam to stick around, stick some pineapple juice in it, because the pineapple juice foams incredibly well. We're going to go, because this is the Reanimator, so we are going to use a mug from Horror in Clay, and this is a nod to Disney's Haunted House, I think. It says Netherworld Haunted House, and you look at this, it's got a great big skull on the front. This is just an amazing mug. Horror in Clay does some amazing things. Their mugs are awesome. Yeah, so that's very cool. And we're going to pour this string. Actually, we're going to bring this back here lest I get everything everywhere. I am going to use a hawthorn, but I am going to pull the hawthorn way back. What I want to do is I want to get the crushed ice, but not the ice cubes. So pull that gate way back. Out.
They are making noises about a new mug coming to Kickstart soon.
Are they? So if you can't hear the beloved wife, she was mentioning that Horror in Clay is making noises about maybe putting out a new mug, which would be awesome, but would also mean that I'm going to have to spend more money, because like I love their stuff. I'm going to pull the agitator cubes out of here. Everything else seems all nice and crushed. I'll go in here. Nope, there's one big cube left. I can always pull that out. Again, I'm not going to stick my fingers into the cocktail. That would be bad. I am a home bartender. I have no professional experience whatsoever. But I am trying to be better about things like sticking my fingers in the drinks and using my hands for ice and that sort of thing, because I do serve cocktails to friends. And so, I would be nice to have some semi-professional practices. So we're going to fill this up with those attending
drinks. The Haunted Tiki Party. We will be masked while making up the drinks.
Oh. So that's a good point. Might as well make mention. So anybody else that is picking up cocktails from us for the Haunted Tiki Party, in case you did not hear my wife, we will be masked while we are making up the drinks and the cocktails. So, we're being as safe as possible with those cocktails. It's also got, it doesn't have over 70% alcohol in it, but it's going to have a fairly high alcohol content. So I'm going to stick a straw in here. We're going to taste this, decide whether or not it's going to me or her. Okay, this has, this is reminiscent of the like the jet pilot. It's got that absinthe bit to it.
I'll try it.
Which I think is maybe an aspect of using the Mount Defiance. I was going to do something for a garnish for this. Oh, I was just going to stick some mint in there. That's what I was going to do. So we have mint from the garden. We still have some. It's gotten a little.
Don't you want them to play along?
Don't I want them to play along?
Don't they have to drink if you slap the mint?
Oh, that's right. So apparently, I almost forgot. Apparently, we have a thing on Quarantiki here at Lovecraft Cocktails. If I spank the mint, you have to drink. I mean, we're going to drink, so that doesn't matter. But if I spank the mint, you have to drink. Now, I don't know what you got in front of you. That'd be a great thing for you to comment. What are you drinking this evening? So we're going to spank the mint. I'm going to do it again. Nah, just twice. Twice is good. And then we're just going to stick some mint in here. Just a little sprig. Oh, you can really smell the mint coming off of that.
You can smell the absinthe, too.
Yep. So ordinarily, I would grab like a Luxardo cherry or something and put it on. But I don't know what I've done with my Luxardos. They're around here. Doop. Move that. We don't see them, so we're not going to do that. Oh well. But, you know, you can imagine, stick a couple of Luxardos on here, maybe some pineapple, stick the little death's head skewer in there, and there you go.
I think they're upstairs.
They might be. That's right.
Yeah, they are upstairs.
Yeah, because we did Manhattans the other day.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to get a second thing of Luxardo, so we have one upstairs and one downstairs.
So here's the deal. We did have two, but we used the one up downstairs. So here we go. We're going to just put a death's head skewer through the orchid, because why not? That looks cool.
It does.
A death head sprouting out of a flower.
Yeah.
How freaking awesome is that? All right, I'm going to stick a straw in here and actually take a real sip out of this. And we'll see what this is like. So this is the Re-Animator.
Okay.
Jason Alexander, Devil's Reef. Oh, I think that is definitely more in my wheelhouse than yours, but once again, kudos to Jason Alexander. That's a pretty tasty drink right there. The OFTD comes through.
I'm going to take a picture for your Instagram.
It's
bring it back.
So both of the last rites and the Baron Samedi are both a little bit on the lighter side. That's got some deep notes to it. The OFTD and the Jamaica really are adding some substantial. I mean, there's just depth to that drink that is not in the other two. Remember when I said on the last rites that you just got sort of a single flavor profile, but everything blended in to that profile very nicely? This is the other end of the extreme. This is, you're tasting multiple different flavors. You can taste the different elements that are in that cocktail. It's still a unified flavor profile, but as the flavor moves through your palate, you're tasting different things. You can pull the different elements of the cocktail out. In the future, if I made some zombie mix, I probably would cut back on the Mount Defiance. It is pretty hefty. But maybe not, because I really like absinthe, and so as a consequence, that's probably okay with me. But in order to do that, we need some sort of sign-off, and so we're going to have to figure out what that's going to be. In the meantime, I'm just going to say, if you haven't done so, please go ahead, jump on Facebook and like Lovecraft Cocktails. Go ahead and like this video, and that'll be good. It'll get... I don't know what it doesn't really do anything for me. I'm not here to monetize. I'm here to talk tiki with you guys and mix some drinks and explore different things that I like, and hopefully you'll find things that you like. So there we go. We're going to wrap this up. That's Quarantiki number 27. And I think we're done.
Will you move to YouTube?
So I don't know. I don't think my production quality is like really YouTube-ish quality. I mean, if you want an idea of what I think YouTube should be for cocktails, here's a shout out. How to Drink is just an amazingly well-produced set of YouTube videos. Ton of fun. Geez, I wish I could remember his name. Greg, I think it is.
I think it is.
I think it's Greg. And And he's been doing this for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And I mean, even going back and seeing it 4 years ago, I mean, it's pre-recorded, it's edited, it's gorgeous, looks really, really nice. And it's fun to kind of track him through the years on watching his bar change and that sort of thing. And someday I hope to be standing behind a bar with him at some point and making drinks for each other, because I think that would be an absolute blast. So check out How to Drink, like Lovecraft Cocktails, and we'll see you next week, I think. And you guys can all just weigh in on whether or not someday this should go to YouTube, because why not? It's democratic.
I'll
It's
post a link to
it's a
How to Drink.
democracy. Oh, that reminds me. If you haven't voted, vote. Get out there, vote. Assuming you can, of course, in whatever district you're in, whatever state you're in, whatever state of legality you're in. Hopefully, you can vote. Figure out a way, figure out a strategy to vote. Make sure you vote. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. It's none of my business who you vote for. Whatever my preferences are don't necessarily mean that they're your preferences. Just go out and vote. Get it done. Do it. Be a participant in our democracy. And we'll talk to you later next week. Adios. Drink to death. So here, all right, trivia about Star and Pooch. Some of you know this, some of you don't. Each year, we recognized that we could not invite everybody that we wanted to our wedding. It's just physically impossible to do that. So we decided that what we would do is to take our wedding on the road. And every year we take our wedding on the road to another town where we know people, or just as a place that we want to go, and invite people to it. And so our anniversary just travels each year. And we've done like New Orleans, we've done San Francisco, we did Kansas City, because we have a lot of people that we know in Kansas City. And Kansas City had an amazing tiki bar called Tiki Cat, which sadly has gone out of business, hopefully temporarily. Hopefully they will be back and better than ever. And this year, well, next year, 2021, is planned, currently planned to be Vegas. And there's a lot of things that we want to do in Vegas. And come on, Rat Pack, awesome stuff. But, you know, COVID, who knows? So it may not happen. Maybe a little more low-key anniversary this coming year.